My name's Mark. I'm one of the pastors here at Trillium. My daughter had a birthday party this week, and I went out doing some shopping for her party. And we went to one of those party stores, and we got some party effects. And there was a costume section, and in the costume section, they had this hat here. It had this crown. And I thought I'd buy it because I'm just newly married, and we've just moved in together and starting a new family together. And I just wanted to, emphasize to the family, to my stepsons, my daughter, to my wife, who the king was, who the boss was. I wanted to sort of trump up my specialness, to get my will done in the family. And I put it on at supper time Friday night. And of course, there's some laughter and all that. And then when people would not do what I asked them to do, I'd point to the crowd and say, hey man, I'm the king. You need to do what I'm telling you to do. And after a while, people started grabbing for it. I mean, it even caused some of the things to fall off here. And they started grabbing for it, and I had to start wrestling people to keep their hands off it. They'd grab it and put it on their head, and they'd start acting like the king or the queen. And even my wife got a hold of it and started putting it on her head and sort of issuing out commands, and I'd get it back from them. And I realized that if you want to stay at the top, you want to be the top, you want to be the special one in any system, so to speak, you got to do a lot of fighting to hold on to your position. And it really brings out certain qualities and characteristics that are not helpful to a loving life. And eventually I had to take it off and put it off to the side. Got me thinking about that notion of specialness we talked about last week, about how we want to be special. We want the special one, we want the special love, and we want our special will to be done in life. And when it doesn't happen, it gets very frustrating. And of course, our specialness is almost a cue for other people to lift up their specialness. You put that crown on, I promise you, you're going to invite people's challenge, you're going to invite people's response, even in a joking way. It really brings out certain qualities in us that I don't think we're that happy about. So if we want to be not engaging in that kind of life, then we need to put aside the crown. See, I was talking a few weeks ago about above the line and below the line life. Above the line love and below the line love. Below the line is where specialness lives, and above a line is where holiness lives. And they're kind of reflections of each other, but one is very distinct from the other. And we're called to live out our lives and our love in a holy way, not a special way. And so much of the music on the radio is about specialness, about being the special love, whether giving or receiving. And God calls us to love in a holy way. And Paul talks about love in 1 Corinthians 13. We started it last week. And he interestingly begins not talking about love, but about spiritual gifts. Because what's going on in the church in Corinth is that people are taking their spiritual gifts and they're trumpeting up their specialness based on their spiritual gifts. And Paul's saying, no. All the gifts that we have are from one source, God, from one Spirit, and for one purpose, for the common good of all people. Our love is not meant to build up our egos or to inflate us. It's not an invitation to put the crown back on our head in that way, but it's an invitation to extend love and peace and joy to all people in our lives and to the world as a whole. The section of love really begins in 1 Corinthians 13 when Paul turns to that passage where he says, love is patient, love is kind. And that's what we looked at today in church. Love is patient, love is kind. That word patient is makrothumio. It means literally to be long-suffering, to have endurance, to bear patiently, to be able to persevere. And I was thinking about that these are often characteristics in the culture that aren't really reinforced. We're in a really fast-paced world where people want immediate gratification. The idea of extending oneself into something that takes a long time of studying to gain expertise in is foreign to us. My daughter heard this really lovely piano piece. It's not really difficult, but she said, I really want to learn how to play it. And yet her ability at this point isn't nearly developed enough to be able to play this piece. It may take her 5 years or 7 years of practicing to get to the point where she can play this piece. And it takes a long time and a lot of sort of suffering, if you want to say that in that way, long endurance, perseverance to get really good at something. And I notice a lot of people today with the immediacy of technology don't commit themselves to long-term practices. Courtship and relationships sometimes needs that long view in life, needs that long perspective. Anything that's worth us in life maybe needs to be developed in a very slow way. The idea of eating slowly or courting slowly, being very deliberative about what we're doing. That seems to be out of vogue, and that's what Paul's talking about. He's talking about this long perspective, and the macrothumio, macro means long. We get macroeconomics, the big picture. It's someone who has a long fuse in life, who has a long fuse in dealing with challenges and difficulties and hardships in life. They have a long fuse to get there. And the other word is Christeomai, and it means kindness or being merciful. And you think about kindness, it comes from the word kin. It's the kind of care that we extend to people who are part of our immediate family. They're our kin. And as we looked at a few weeks ago, Jesus says, your blood relatives are not necessarily where your true family is. It's the giving and receiving of God's love in life, doing God's holy will of love in life, where the family is really built together. And you think about what Jesus is calling us to is to understand that everybody we meet in life is part of our kin. They're part of the human family. We're all made in the likeness of God in love. And so the opportunity to extend kindness is not just to a unique or a very specific group of people, but to all people. This is the kind of love here that's both patient, it endures, it perseveres, and it recognizes the divine face in all people. And this is this new understanding of love that Paul's giving to us. It must have been a revolution when those first Corinthians heard Paul's letter being read to them, and they thought deeply about what he was talking about. You know, we here at Trillium realize that we need to put aside the crown. You know, you have an opportunity. You don't might have a crown literally in your house, but you can take the crown off your head and put it aside. See, you don't need the crown of specialness to make it in life. You don't need the crown of specialness to be somebody in this life. You've already been given a great crown, the crown of glory from our Creator God who made us His children. We are all children of God. We all bear the likeness of God, and we all wear the divine crown that lives in the world above. So set aside the crown that belongs to specialness that lives in the world below. Embrace instead the crown that was already given to you before you were even born, that lives in that world above in the divine place. And when you do that, I promise you, you will experience an extension of love, peace, and joy in all the world around you, and you will experience the blessing of God's love upon your life. So go in peace. Serve God's true love that it was made for you to live out every day, every moment that you have.